So that is just one of several anti-Semitic protests that happened across university and college campuses last year. Now, at the time, Ivy League universities, they slow-walked their response despite Jewish students being targeted for harassment. Now, President Trump, he plans to do something about it. The Trump administration is pulling federal funding from Columbia University, a whopping $400 million. Now, could other colleges and universities be next? One voice who's been calling for universities to face the consequences for their inaction is the national president of the Zionist Organization of America, Morton Klein. He joins me now. Thank you so much for coming on, Morton. Now, anti-Semitism on college campuses is on the rise. We know that. Yet these colleges and universities are taking little accountability. Columbia University responded to Trump with this after the funding was pulled. We take our legal obligations seriously, and we are committed to combating anti-Semitism. But is this too little, too late from Columbia University?
Columbia's response, after appeasing and allowing these students and these thugs, these rioters, to defend terrorists like Hamas and Iran, is way too little. In the statement that they put out, they say we're going to take action, we're going to address, we need a reset, but they never say what they're going to do. What they should be saying publicly, we're going to arrest these students, we're going to expel these students, and if they're foreign students, we're going to deport them. That's what should be there. None of that is in there. Columbia still doesn't get it. This is a long overdue action by the federal government. I'm so grateful to the Trump administration for taking this action. Students on campuses throughout the country are called names. They're called baby killers. Imagine going to class. They're called terrorists, Nazis. These rioters screaming that we need globalized murdering of Jews throughout the world. The Jews are blocked from going to classes.
Yeah.
They stop classes. This is an outrage. And Columbia has been appeasing these people and allowing it. I can assure you, if these actions were being taken against blacks or Muslims or gays, universities would never tolerate it. This is pure anti-Semitism that they've done. Not only have they done nothing, they've been saying this is freedom of speech, this is freedom of expression, this is diversity of views. They've been promoting that what these thugs are doing as legitimate when it is not legitimate. And by the way, Columbia has to do more. They have to throw out the Students for Justice in Palestine. Right. They're a main group that's promoting and organizing these riots. And they must be doing something about the anti-Semitic professors who are joining these thugs in these rallies.
Right.
And Columbia has done nothing, and their statement is woefully inadequate. It's actually an embarrassment.
Let's get to this. The Department of Education under Secretary Linda McMahon has now included specific parameters for universities to receive federal aid. Now, this includes upholding all federal anti-discrimination laws. But many of these laws, they've been on the books for decades. Yet the money kept flowing last year under President Biden. Do you think that colleges and universities are now going to take these matters more seriously, knowing that this type of money is huge for their budget?
I'm proud to say Zionist Organization of America, my organization, launched a 6-year campaign to reinterpret the civil rights laws to cover Jews. They never did. We filed one lawsuit after another. They were ignored by the Obama and the Biden administration. I think now that the law says you cannot get federal funding if you harass and discriminate against students, this will have meaning to these colleges. They're going to have to take action or they're going to lose money. Losing money is a serious act. I think you're going to start seeing changes, not just at Columbia, but at George Washington University, UCLA, Temple, Harvard, Yale. It's all over the country.
Yeah.
And these students, by the way, are not just anti-Semitic, they're anti-American. They're condemning America and Christians on campuses as well. This is a serious issue, and I think it's finally going to be stopped now with this very important action by the Trump administration.
And to your point there about, this is Secretary Rubio. He announced this new AI program the State Department is going to use to identify the accounts of college students posting this pro-Hamas content in order to deport them. Should students on visas be able to who have expressed these views, should they be deported?
When students are calling for the murder of every Jew, when students are calling Jewish students, blocking them from entering classes and calling them Nazis, they have lost their right to be here in America and benefit from our educational institutions. They must all be deported, and the students who aren't foreigners should be arrested for these actions, and they should be expelled from the university, never allowed to come back. This is serious business. If that happens, these riots will end, I assure you. And I think this is the first important step that the Trump administration has taken.
Let me ask you this, though. Do these anti-Semitic protests, do they take the shine off of these Ivy League schools? Do you think that people are now going to see Columbia as an Ivy League school, or are they now going to have maybe a little less lure to students that want to go to them?
Applications to these schools have already dropped significantly, especially among Jewish students. They're not applying to these schools. They're applying to different schools now. This has hurt them. So if Columbia and these other schools change, it will only benefit them. I might add, even after Columbia, this past week, expelled 2 of the students that were taking these actions. Do you know what happened? The rioters came back and the thugs defending these students. They took over the library at Columbia, demanding these students be reinstated. There's no remorse. These students are just vicious thugs and vicious haters of Jews and America. And so I think we're going to start to see real action now. And it's beneficial to the universities, as you mentioned. Yeah. Students are not applying to the universities in the numbers they used to because they don't want to be at these places. You're seeing other schools now getting many more applications from students that they never would have seen applying to these schools before.
We shall see. That's going to be a huge dent in their budget. $400 million taken away. Morton, Klein, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much.
And shedding some light on this issue.